What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some more NBA news to be talking about with you guys. In today's video, there is a new recent report coming out by Jason Quick of The Athletic, where he actually goes on to say that a CJ McCollum trade is probable, if not certain, to potentially happen. And one of the teams that he has heard is extremely interested in potentially trading for CJ McCollum is actually the Boston Celtics. He has heard that the Celtics would be interested in McCollum and mentions that Marcus Smart would be a very good fit in Portland. Now, I don't think Marcus Smart just gets the deal done. Like, don't get me wrong, Marcus Smart is a good guy, but CJ McCollum, at the start of the year, was playing like an all-star. Like, this guy, without injuries, could very well be, contending for an all-star team, especially next season. Like, I mean, at the start of the season, he was averaging like 26 points per game. Came back, and that slowly regressed a little bit because he had, a couple of injuries here and there. But the way I see this is, if the Portland Trailblazers are going to trade CJ McCollum, they're going to want to get, a pretty decent thing in return, especially if they're keeping Damian Lillard. If they're trading away Damian Lillard, then they're probably not going to get as much for CJ because their main priority will, of course, be shopping around Lillard. But again, I don't think they're going to be trading away Damian Lillard until, he requests a trade, which I feel like that could definitely happen, especially considering I believe Jason Kidd was just recently hired by the Dallas Mavericks. And we do know, of course, that there was so many reports going around that Damian Lillard actually wanted Jason Kidd on the Portland Trailblazers. And after that didn't happen, it's reported that he's unhappy. There's also word going around that Jusuf Nurkic actually wants out. He is not happy with the role that Carmelo Anthony will most likely be leaving in free agency, and that Norman Powell could actually get a huge offer from New Orleans to be their new starting shooting guard and play with Zion and Brandon Ingram and potentially Lonzo Ball, which again, he might just not be able to refuse, which kind of leaves the Trailblazers with just Lillard, Covington, and really McCollum for the time being. They don't really have too many other good players from that point on. Again, Covington could also get traded, but I feel like what would actually happen is I think the Celtics would offer up Marcus Smart, of course, and I think they would do a sign and trade of Evan Fournier, especially if, Norman Powell leaves. The Trailblazers are really going to want Evan Fournier, and then I think they'll have to offer up maybe a protected first round pick and, of course, a second round pick. Then I think this trade is actually pretty fair for both teams. I think, the Trailblazers, I don't necessarily know if they improve from this, but I think they bring in much better role players. So, now in the future, they can, of course, go out and trade for another star or try and sign a star in free agency, which they might actually have enough cap for. I think they'll definitely be offering a contract to DeMar DeRozan very, very shortly, and of course, he'd be very good for them. So let's just say again, they did offer that contract to DeMar DeRozan. You bring in, of course, that first round pick, which you can use for trade asset as well, and that second round pick. I would say they would probably keep Robert Covington, hope he has a bounce back season. Of course, as well, they'd have Marcus Smart coming off the bench, being that sixth man, and then Evan Fournier, who'd probably be on like an $18 million per season type deal, which is reported, he's going to be getting offers like that, so I'm sure he'd be pretty happy with a deal like that. Again, they'd be starting five of maybe Lillard at point guard, of course, Fournier at shooting guard. I'd say maybe like a DeMar DeRozan at small forward, and then, of course, Covington at power forward. Then at center, I think they'll go and offer like a really dominant rebounding center. So I think they'll offer a contract to a player like Andre Drummond, who reportedly is not exactly too happy on the Lakers right now. They want to offer him a minimum, and he wants a little bit more than that. I think they could get Andre Drummond on about maybe, $8 million per year. I think, $5 to $8 million per year. I'm pretty sure he'd accept that to play on a contending team and still get some decent money. And then, of course, they'd bring back Canner, maybe, probably bring back Jones, and they'd probably go from there. But is that team really so much better than the team they have right now? Too sure really how that's all going to go. So whether a team's better or not is really up to opinion. But I think this Celtics team gets a lot better. I think that Celtics team, it becomes really, you look at the team and you're like, wow, this team has really now, so it's got a lot. Like, all it needs is a point guard, which I'm sure they'll go out and potentially get. I think there is a really big chance that there'll be a veteran point guard out that they could potentially get. I think 2 point guards that'd be really good for the Celtics would be like TJ McConnell on cheap. And then I think they could try and get, of course, Lonzo Ball. But how they get Lonzo Ball, the only way I could see them getting him now is if they, of course, try and match the salary, which means they'd have to trade probably like an Evan Fournier type of player, which who knows if they will do. But again, at the time, they won't have that. So I'm guessing that kind of rules Lonzo out now because, of course, they'd have CJ McCollum on the list, which means they can't do a sign and trade of Fournier. So I'd probably go like TJ McConnell on a small contract. For them, you know, they'd probably be able to get him on pretty cheap. They offered Jeff Teague a $5 million contract last year. I'm pretty sure they'd be able to probably offer him like a $6 million or something this year, which he's definitely worth a lot more than that. But to be like the main point guard of the team, I think CJ McCollum would actually very much like that. Then you could be looking at a starting five of like CJ McCollum, who's a great playmaker, you know, for this team. Doesn't need a lot of the ball and doesn't take shots away from their players. You know, CJ McCollum at shooting guard, Jaylen Brown small forward, Tatum at power forward, with, you know, I'd say Horford as your starting center. Then off the bench you would have Robert Williams, Tristan Thompson, Jabari Parker, Aaron Nesmith, Grant Williams, and Peyton Pritchard. It'd actually be a really, really good team. Like, that team could definitely push for a conference finals and see where they maybe go from there. Again, the issue I see with this trade is, do the Trailblazers really get that much better? I'm not exactly too sure if they really, you know, do. They probably just kind of stagnate. But if they can get like a DeMar DeRozan in, I guess they'd probably get a little bit better. It's just really up to personal opinion how all of you guys all, you know, potentially see this. So, of course, I'd very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for all the latest NBA content and NBA news. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to my IRL/vlogging channel and my gaming channel, which I'll link in the description down below. And don't forget, you know, check out my podcast as well if you haven't already, which I will link in the description down below. But as I was saying, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.